Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and today being Martin Luther King Jr. Day, I thought that it would be a good time to kind of reflect on not only his importance, but the importance of civil rights in general, even today in 2020. Now, before I get started, I want to say this. A lot of people out there have tried to go after Martin Luther King Jr. after the fact. In fact, there's supposedly recordings, audio recordings at the time. I don't know if there's any video recordings being claimed that he was having affairs with people and taking place in orgies. There is, of course, the FBI who wrote him a letter telling him to kill himself, or they would release this. There are others that believe that he was kind of a limited hangout plant or even a communist. I've seen all this stuff. And even people whom I respect, like G. Edward Griffin, kind of think that he was some kind of a false establishment messiah to be pushed on the people. Controlled opposition, if you will. Now, I don't really hold any of those beliefs, but what I do believe is that civil rights to this day are extremely important, and many of the writings and teachings of Martin Luther King Jr. are extremely important, relevant, and worthy to be discussed and encouraged today, 100%. The quote behind me, "There comes a time when silence is betrayal," is one that I've really talked about for years. It's why I started doing what I do. It's why I speak out, even though it's hard sometimes. There are many times when you tell people uncomfortable truths that you get attacked, you get berated, you become a target. And there's just no telling me that this man not only did not become a target, especially speaking out against the Vietnam War, but was executed by this government, 100%. 100%. In a time when there were still cover-ups, but the people were so outraged that their leaders, whether it be in civil rights or in office, a.k.a. JFK Jr., a.k.a. RFK Jr., a.k.a. the man behind me, MLK Jr. They had those House Assassination Committee hearings. In fact, Invisible Empire will show you, if you watch it, that they indeed found that there was a conspiracy to kill all three. More than likely, that's what they ruled. Everything just gets swept under the rug and hushed. And the thing is that when you look at Martin Luther King Jr. and things like judge a man on the contents of his character, not the color of his skin, I couldn't agree more. 100%. Yet today, race is still being utilized as a tool to divide us, when in any kind of reality, in a real class system, especially in this country, I hate to tell you, and worldwide, whether you think you're middle class or you're upper middle class or you're part of the welfare state on the bottom, I hate to tell you, to the predator class, you're nothing but a serf, a slave. You are literally looked upon as prey to them, to be exploited, to be used against one another. And that's one of the reasons I really haven't focused on what's going on in Virginia today. I suppose at some point I'll have to cover it. In fact, I may even discuss it later on today when I do Mixed Martial Mindset with John Fitch. But the bottom line is, the majority of those people that are screaming, yelling, opposing one another have more in common than they could ever know. And believe me, I'm pro-Second Amendment. I think there should be people out in the streets saying that they will not just give up their guns. Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Because often the First Amendment does fail and we need that Second Amendment. Unfortunately, with Martin Luther King Jr., the First Amendment did fail him. Ultimately, yes, he became a martyr. Yes, he symbolizes brotherhood against the oppression of men and women and children based on what? Again, the color of their skin. Something inherently none of us have control over. None of us. We're born into this world, rich or poor, black or white, in the U.S. and Africa. Who knows? Who knows? You don't know. No one gets that choice. So to judge somebody, not based on their intellect, not based on how they treat other people, not based on how they can contribute not only to their families' lives, but the lives around them in the community, is absurd. Is something that is a blight on our historical past and continues to be globally to this day. I hate to tell you, but the slave trade in Libya is alive and well. Alive and well. And I mean, guys, if we can learn anything, is that you can have great power. You can get people behind this. And what we need now more than ever, in my opinion, is an actual civil rights movement against this predator class. You know, I haven't covered it enough, and I need to, but when you look at what happened in France recently, where it took over a year of protests, which are continuing with the yellow vests, because they don't like the bureaucracy of the European Parliament, the EU, the unelected officials that get to decide their lives. So they took to the streets every weekend. And you know what they did? They tried to squeeze harder. And they said, you know what? We're going to change the pension age. Wow. Well, after weeks and months of protests, of riots, of shutdowns, of people literally just shutting down electrical systems, guess what? They won there at least. Small victory, but they won. They stood up. They said, this is enough. We're not going to betray our children and our grandchildren. We see how this is going. More for you, less for us. And I promise you, that has nothing to do with the color of your skin. The color of your skin is exploited. You're either made to feel outraged that people are coming across a border or that a certain minority is collecting from the state, right? Or you're outraged that you're being oppressed by a skin of a lighter color. Well, the predator class comes in all sorts of colors and creeds. You know, the Saudi Arabian royal family is a slightly different tone than what? The European royal family, and a slightly different tone than, you know, the people that rule in Asia, etc., etc. You see how it goes? See how it goes? The dictators in Africa. At the end of the day, it's that upper echelon that works to oppress the masses that we have to worry about. And I just think that, you know, when I think about Martin Luther King, there's so many things you can think about, not only his legacy, but how we do have a deep state, how it continues to rule over our mainstream media, how we are still fed a narrative that they will not be exposed for this man's murder, for the murder of people like Malcolm X, again, John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy. Do you get it? Do you get it? Sorry, I said RFK Jr. earlier and I misspoke. You know, RFK Jr. is still around. But to this day, you know, we're lied to about Epstein. We can't even tell the truth about a sports star. We're digressing. We're devolving. And until we realize that we need to stand up and stop being silent about even the little issues. We need to stomp our feet. Because when the big issues come, they just executive order it. They just fear you into it. And it continues to happen that way. So guys, with that being said, I want to let everybody know about a thing called Rockfin. You see the little thing on the bottom here where it says endorse Jason Burmis? And you can't really scroll up. I got my Twitter handle in front of it, of course. We'll just take that down. But if you go over to Rockfin, the link's below. I'm doing one exclusive video 5 days a week over here. So you get 5 exclusive videos. I think it's $9.99 for the exclusives, but you can sign up and get the other stuff. It's a live stream thing. It helps support me. It's where I'm doing the exclusive content. It's not like a Patreon or a Subscribe Star. It's a flat rate, and you get a bunch of other creators too. That's why I decided to do that one, because it just made a lot more sense. Oh, wrong thing right there. Oh, again, wrong thing. It made a lot more sense because it's also got MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, stuff that I actually enjoy. Still going to try to do it 3 to 7 times a day. Still going to make that mini documentary. I might even call it the Irish Handshake. I'm not even sure if you've been catching my past couple videos. But I'm keeping it busy. I've been working in the other room on one of the workstations I put together. Hopefully the streaming experience is going to be better than the previous workstation I put together, because that one really wasn't up to snuff the way I need to do it. And if you want to financially support me, hey, we're way behind this month. What do we got? I think 10 or 11 days. I hope we can get it over 2,000 by the end of the week. If you want me to keep doing this, and I want to keep doing this, $5, $10, $15, it means the world to me. I absolutely love you guys, and I will see you all on the flip side.